Next we can see here the URL relative referencing. Okay, you have to use the relative referencing when you want to refer to web pages that are in the same server on the same website. Okay, for example, here you can see they are making use of a folder here. Root folder is there. Inside that root folder there are three files: index.html, about.html, example.html. And inside this root folder there are some more folders. These folders we call them as a directory. So inside this root folder, which is indicated by forward slash, there is one more folder known as images and another folder known as css. So in images folder, two files are there: logo.gif and centralpark.jpg. And inside the root folder there is another folder called css. Inside css you have one file main.css, one folder images, and in images you have the file background.gif. Then you have the third subdirectory under root, that is the members. In members directory you have the file index.html, and in members there is one more subdirectory randyc, and in that you have the file bio.html. So here you want to refer to the same file which are in the same directory or in the same system. Okay, so when you want to refer to from one file to from one web page to another web page of the same website, that time we call them as relative referencing. But if you want to go from one website to another, that means from this site to this site you want to go, means that time it is known as absolute referencing. But when you want to go to the places of this particular page only, that means you want to go to this link, or you want to go to this site, or you want to go to Gmail, images, here sign in. If you want to go to the here below, see in the footer, advertising, business, home, these all which are there, when you want to refer to your same website, that time it is known as relative referencing. So here they have given us, if you want to refer to the files or the folders which are there in your same current server, that time how to give the path names. Okay, so absolute referencing path name was easier to use. We have to make use of the protocol https, then colon was there, then you have to make use of the forward slash, and you have to write the domain name www dot, and you have to specify which page you want to go to. Those were very easy. But if you want to refer to pages or resources which are in the same server or in the same system, then we have to make use of different path names. Okay, so we'll see these examples here. The first one which is there, same directory. To link to a file within the same folder, then you have to simply use the file name. For example, to link to example.html from about.html, that means this first one which is there. If you want to go from about.html to example.html, that means these are two HTML pages. These are two HTML pages, and this page you are currently, and you want to go to example.html. But the thing is that you are in the same root folder. So when you are in the same root folder, that time no need of specifying any path name. You just give the file name. So what it will be, use the anchor tag, attribute uses href, and the value is directly give that HTML web page name. That means from the about HTML web page you are going to the example.html. That means you are, when you are in the same directory, make use of the file name directly. Okay, second example is child directory. That means you want to link to a folder, to a file which is in the other directory. Okay, to link to a file within a subdirectory, use the name of the subdirectory and a slash before the file name. That means to link to logo.gif from about.html. That means from about.html you want to go to logo.gif. This directory is different, this directory is different. Okay, so this is the parent directory, this is the child directory. So if you want to go from this directory which is in root, you want to go to logo.gf, that time you have to specify this directory name, that's it. Okay, when you are in the same directory, no use of specifying the directory name, but when you're going from one directory to another directory, that time you have to specify the directory name. So what will happen here is the directory name is images followed by forward slash and the file name you want to go to. So which file name you want to go to is logo.gif. So what you have to write here is ah reference in images directory, I want to go to the resource logo.gif. Okay, then next, grandchild descendant directory. To link to a file that is multiple subdirectories below the current one, construct the full path by including each subdirectory name separated by slashes before the file name. That means the file which you want to refer to are many subdirectories below. That time what you'll have to do is you'll have to just mention the directory names separated by slashes. For example, to link to background.gif from about.html. That means you from about.html you want to go to background.gif. Okay, so which all you have to go through, which all you have to mention. So you mention the directory name directly, okay, that is css, then you go for the subdirectory images and inside that you go to the file name background.gif. So these directories you can name them directly. So to link to background.gif from about.html, that is the third one, you have to go from css directory slash images slash background.gif. Okay, so this relative path name you have to go when you are multiple directories down. Okay, so the next one which is here, parent or ancestor directory. Use a slash to reference a folder above the current one. Not slash, use a double dot slash to reference a folder above the current one. If trying to reference a file several levels above the current one, simply use together multiple double dot slash. That means if you want to go from the child directory to the parent directory. Now previous examples we were coming from the above directory to below directory. If you want to go from the child directory to the parent directory, that is the fourth example. So they are saying that if you want to move directories above, that time you all make use of double dot slash. How to come down from the parent directory to the child directory, we had made use of forward slashes. To go from the child directory to the parent directory, they are saying make use of double dot slash. That is to link about.html from index.html in members. That means from index.html you want to go to about.html. Okay, so what it will be, double dot slash about.html, that is two directories above css, above images, you have to use the about.html. So two directories above slash. Okay, so double dot slash will help us to go multiple directories above. Okay, to link to about.html from bio.html, that means from bio.html you want to go to about.directories, is make use of those multiple dots and slashes to specify these directories. So directly you will reach to about.html. So this is how you reference all those directories which are within the server here. So four examples have been done here. The next topic is inline text elements, the elements that do not disrupt the flow. Inline elements do not disrupt the flow of text, that is cause a line break. So these elements are usually used within a paragraph and they just go on adding some extra elements to that particular paragraph. HTML5 defines over 30 of these elements. So this elements image is not much clear. You can see that in the textbook later. I'll just go on reading which are those elements. Only few of the elements have been listed here. The first one here is the A element. A element, which is the anchor element, also comes under inline text element. As we know, A just helps us to move on to a different link. That is, the anchor is used for hyperlink. The second inline element is ABBR element. This is used for abbreviation. So if any of the text you have written in abbreviation, then you can make use of the ABBR element. The next we have is the BR element. The BR element is used for a line break. And we have the CIT element, which is used for citation, that is a reference to another work. These elements will be seeing them in later examples. And next we have is the code element. In a document, in a web document, if there is some code to be displayed directly, some coding you have displayed, so that you can dump them or you can put them in the code element that is used for displaying code such as markup or programming code. Then we have the EM element, which is used for emphasis. Mark element, which is used for displaying highlighted text. Then we have the small element for displaying the fine print, that is non-vital text such as copyright or legal notices. When you have smaller text as at the footer to be displayed, then you can make use of the small element. Next we have the span element, the inline equivalent of the div element. It is generally used to mark text that will receive special formatting using CSS. So in an HTML document, there is some text which will receive some formatting from CSS. Then that text you can put it in the span element. Next we have is the strong element for content that is strongly important. This element will make that text appear in bold. Then we have the time element for displaying time and data. So these elements are known as inline elements, out of which we will see few of them in our examples. The next we have is next HTML element we have is the images element. While the IMG tag is the oldest method for displaying an image, it is not the only way. So we have made use of IMG tag. So whenever we want some images to be displayed on the web page, that time we make use of this IMG tag. They are saying that IMG tag is the oldest method for displaying an image, and that it is not the only way to display. For purely decorative images such as background gradients and patterns, logos, border art, and so on, it makes a semantic sense to keep such images out of markup and in CSS where they more rightly belong. So if you want some those images to appear very presentable, it is better to make use of CSS rather than putting them in HTML. But when the images are content, such as in the images in a gallery or image of a product in a product details page, then the image tag is the semantically appropriate approach. When you have simple images of a particular product to appear in a web page, then you can use this oldest IMG tag. But if you want that image to appear more presentable with more features, then you have to make use of the CSS. Here we have an example of images. IMG is the element name. Attribute we are using is the source is equals to value is the location of that image, and then we have the attribute alt. Alt is used for alternative text. That means in case if this image is not getting displayed, it will display this text. Then we have the title is equals to central park. That means if this title which is there, this title attribute, if I place my cursor on that image, then it should display this text. This title attribute examples we had seen previously. Then we have the width is equals to 80, height is equals to 40. This is used to explicitly specify the size of an image. So we'll see what they have written here. Specifies the URL of the image to display. Note, use standard relative referencing. Okay, so this you have to mention, and relative references means it will be in your system itself. The image has to be in your system. So you can see that this is relative referencing. They are not making use of protocol, domain name or something. They are, the image is in the folder images and the file name is centralpark.jpg. Then here about alt, what they are saying is text in alt attribute provides a brief description of image's content for users who are unable to see it. If the people are low at sight and they are not able to see the image, then they will just read what is that image about. Then you can make use of alt. The next you have is text in the title attribute will be displayed in a pop-up tooltip when user moves mouse over image. So when a user moves the mouse over that image, this title value which you have given central part, that will be popping around that image. Then this last one is specifies the width and height of image in pixels. So this will specify the image of the height and width of that image. Next topic we have is list. Okay, so this is nothing but when we have a list of items to be displayed on a web page, then we can make use of this element. HTML provides three types of list. The first one is unordered list, collection of items in no particular order. These are by default rendered by the browser as a bulleted list. So when some names you have or some list you have which do not have some order and you want them to appear in terms of bullets, then you can make use of unordered list. Then the second we have is the ordered list, collection of items that have a set order. These are by default rendered by the browser as a numbered list. Okay, so if you want the numbers 1, 2, 3 for the collection of items you have in your web page, that time you can make use of ordered list. Then next you have is the definition list, collection of name and definition pairs. Okay, so you have the name and you have the definition, such kind of combination is there, name definition, like that. That time you have to make use of the definition list. These tend to be used infrequently. Perhaps the most common example could be a frequently asked question list. Okay, so this list is not used much, and if they are used also, they are used when you all are making use of FAQ list, that is frequently asked question list. So here we have an example of list. The first one which is there, here you, for whenever you are making use of list, you have to use the element UL. UL stands for unordered list. Then you have the sub elements under it, you have to make use of LI. Okay, so this LI elements have to be embedded within the main UL element. So these list examples we have already seen, we are just making a revision of it. So the first list which is there, instead of having a name, it is having an anchor tag. So this A element will have an attribute href. So the first element of this list will be a link. Okay, and that will be of label will be of home. Okay, so you can see here home, the first output is here. Home which has appeared here in the output is a link here. Okay, so the list which has appeared is an A tag and it appears as a link. Second are normal text, that is about us, products, contact us. Okay, so these which are there, they will appear in unordered list, in that is in terms of bullets. So whenever you have a list which you want in bullets, that time you make use of the UL tag, opening UL tag and closing UL tag. Then you make use of the LI tags. Okay, LI tags, opening and closing tags. So this will list all the elements which are there, but all in unordered list. So what they've written here is, notice that the list item element can contain other HTML elements. List items, here li is there, inside that you have another HTML element which is the A element. So this was an example of UL list. Then here you have OL list. OL stands for unordered list. So unordered list, what will happen is, here they will ordered list, here whatever is there, they will appear in terms of order. Order means you will have some numbering here. So the first one which is there is introduction, background, my solution. Okay, so you have ended this list here, but inside this order list you have another order list here. Okay, so you have embedded ordered list. So the first one here you have is methodology, results, discussion. Okay, so here what will happen is, this is the main list and inside this you have the another sub list. Okay, but they are all in ordered. So this was an example for unordered list and ordered list, and those list has to be appearing using the li tags. Next we have is the character entities. Okay, we have the character entities. What they have to say about this is, these are special characters for symbols for which there is either no way easy way to type in via a keyboard, such as the copyright symbol or the accented characters, or which have a reserved meaning in HTML. For instance, the opening angle bracket or the closing angle bracket symbols. For example, if you have some special characters, okay, and those special characters you are not able to find it in your keyboard, okay, or some characters which have special meaning in HTML. Now for example, I want to print these angular brackets, but these angular brackets, if I write it directly, then the browser will think that I am making use of an element, but actually I want to make use of that opening angle bracket and the closing angle bracket symbol. So such reserved meaning characters which are there and you want to print them in your web browser, but there is no way for printing it directly. So let us see who will help us that. They can be used in an HTML document by using the entity name or the entity number. Okay, for example, ampersand NBSP, okay, semicolon. So what this will do, it will put non-breakable spaces. That is space. If I want some more number of spaces, if I have 5 spaces, if I want 6 spaces, what the HTML document will do is, while showing the output in the browser, it will show only one space. So if you want n number of spaces to be displayed, then you can make use of NBSP. That means it will print non-breakable spaces. This is for the copyright symbol. In the above example, previous example, we had that C in a circle. That is for the copyright symbol. If you want that copyright symbol, then you have to make use of ampersand copy semicolon. These character entities which will help us to display special characters, they have to be written like this. That is ampersand the entity name followed by a semicolon. So we have a list of character entities here. This also is not much visible. You can check that out in the textbook. So what will happen here is, you can either use the entity name or you can either use the number. Okay, the first entity name here we have is ampersand NBSP, which stands for non-breakable space. Non-breakable space, the browser ignores multiple spaces in the source HTML file. If you need to display multiple spaces, you can do so using the non-breakable space entity. As I told you all, your browser, when you're putting too many spaces, it will not take it. It will display only one. But you want some 2-3 spaces to be displayed, and that comes under character. That time you make use of this character entity. That is ampersand NBSP followed by semicolon. Then we have the second character entity, that is ampersand LT. Ampersand LT semicolon. Here what they're saying is, if you are writing ampersand LT semicolon, it will display lesser than symbol. That is the open angular bracket. Open angular bracket is used for opening and closing of the HTML elements. But if you want to only use the angular brackets, that time you have to use ampersand less than and ampersand greater than. Okay, so if you are writing ampersand less than, immediately your browser will print the less than symbol, and if you write ampersand GT semicolon, your browser will display a closing angular bracket. Then ampersand copy semicolon, which is there, it will print the copyright symbol. Okay, directly it will print the copyright symbol. And ampersand euro semicolon will display the euro symbol. Ampersand trade semicolon will display the trademark symbol. And ampersand uml semicolon, which is there, it will display the u small u with the umlaut mark. That means u with up to quotes will be there. So that special character will be displayed by using ampersand UUML character entity. If you do not want to make use of this character entities, you can make use of these numbers. So the second column which is there, it is having numbers. So if you don't want to use this character entities in terms of text, you can use in terms of numbers. So these common character entities which are there, these will help us to print special characters into your browser or the web pages.